So better late than never for sure. But that's probably the best encapsulation. This is like a microcosm of how long it took just to get the two of us to sit down and have a conversation, at least on this channel. That's Eli. I'm Eytan at DGen Eli at Shander Show here across the board. We'll tell you about what's going on at Gold Boys, goldboys.com, oddshopper.com. But my man, I mean, like, it's been forever, right? Since the two of us could get together. With the help of James, who's producing, we finally got it.
Yeah, it's been a long road to get here. This show, there's not very many people watching. Hopefully, it'll grow, and we'll have an audience at some point. Thank you if you're here. Thank you, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you giving us your time here. But viewers are never going to understand what it took to finally get this show together, Shannon. It's been a wild ride. A 6 month. I don't know if it's been quite that long, but it's been a journey to make this show happen, and we are finally here. I'm happy about it. I'm happy to get to talk to somebody that isn't Jerry for half an hour before I have to talk to his dumbass. So,
yes, but I know that you strategically placed this show ahead of the show that you have with Jerry coming up at 6 on the Gold Boys channel. So I don't know if this is like advanced therapy or if this is just like, you hit the bar for a couple of quick drinks before like whatever the meeting or the dinner, the event is. But I see what you're doing, man. I'm happy to be a little escape before you have to hit your head against the wall.
I'll be honest, it's 50-50 if he's going to even show up. He tweeted 4 hours ago that he might be late because like he's stuck in traffic or something. So yeah, I don't know.
The logic though of him being like he's coming from Queens through Manhattan. It sounded like he was going out of his way. Now, again, I don't pretend to know what he's going through on a day-to-day, like why he would have to be in all 5 boroughs before he does his show with you. But that's coming up with you. You've got a lot of excitement. I don't have any excitement coming up by any means, except for just some bets. But it's kind of like, it's a weird Friday night.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a good time. What's that?
No. I'm trying to figure out. All right, real quick. Last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need help and I don't know. I don't know what to do. We don't have any gifts. Like we don't have any gifts.
Any gifts? Okay.
For anybody. Like
not at all?
No, we've got a 2.5-year-old boy and a 2-month-year-old boy. And we have nothing. Like we don't have anything for anybody.
The 2-month-old isn't going to know. So
no.
Fine there.
I meant for like everybody else. Like,
okay.
Like you just told me you've got 17 different family Christmases, right?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine showing up to one or maybe like 15 of these empty-handed?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I've been there before. I like to procrastinate Christmas shopping. It drives my wife crazy. Like, I didn't have anything for like my side of the family until literally 2 days ago. But definitely I've showed up like, hey, your present's actually not here yet. It's still in the mail. Completely empty-handed. That would be a bit of a rough look for you, I think, be a bit of a rough look for you.
The good news is that it's my wife's family. So she's going to exactly.
Yeah. It'll be her fault.
They already don't expect much of me. So there's not going to be much disappointment.
I think you're fine. You have the newborn excuse still.
That's what I was hoping for.
At least 4 more months, I think.
Yeah, man, we're gonna ride this thing. We're gonna ride this fucking thing out as much as I possibly can. I promise you on that. All right, now when we were talking ahead of time, we've got some NFL we're gonna bounce around and get to, but it is a Friday night. Normally we're gonna be here Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Eastern time. So mark your calendar, set a little reminder there. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe here. Head on over to the Gold Boys channel and do that, the same thing there. Make sure you're subscribed across the board. But we'll be here every Wednesday at 11 and build this thing up for sure. But a little different, I think, on this Friday night. You said that you didn't really have much planned as far as like you didn't have this huge sheet that you came with today for bets tonight. But I don't know. I don't want to go, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I've got 2 bets I haven't actually placed yet, but I'm going to. I'm kind of going to build a parlay or lottery ticket around those 2 for tonight. There are a couple of touchdown scores for Sunday. I'm already keying in on 2. So I've got, we can fill the content. You know what I mean?
I have no doubt in my mind. I wanted to almost get knock the NBA out because it's timely, because we have some stuff coming up in the next hour and 40 minutes or so, at least that Sixers Raptors game. So if you want to bounce around, you said you have 2 bets, right? Give me the first one. Give me the biggest one for you, and then I'll fill some of mine in.
So I think this is going to be a pretty popular one today, and I'm just going to have to live with it, I guess. Usually, that kind of scares me when I see a lot of traffic on a bet that I like for whatever reason. But I really like Tyler Hero's points tonight. I think it's set to a little lower than I would have expected. I don't know what it's at right now, but like 23.5, 24.5, somewhere in there. 23.5 you can get on ESPN bet. You look at what the projected starting lineup is, and like somebody in that lineup has to shoot against an Atlanta Hawks team that's not super interested in playing defense. The Heat are also just a completely different team at home, basically. Like they're scoring like 10 more points on average at home versus on the road. And Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and then Kyle Lowry, who doesn't really shoot the ball, the rookie, and Jaime Jaquez, who I think is talented, but not a huge offensive threat consistently, and then Caleb Martin. So somebody's got to shoot the ball there. The Hawks are also allowing a ton of points in transition, and Tyler Hero is the leading scorer on the Heat for in transition. So yeah, that's kind of what I like there. I like Tyler Hero over the 23.5 on ESPN bet. It looks like it's 24.5 elsewhere, minus 130. I might sprinkle on like a weird like 27.5. I don't know how much I love 29.5 or 30 plus is plus 220.
Yeah, why not? Why not go to
that?
You made a pretty good argument that where else is the offense coming from? Kyle Lowry?
You're right. I'm in. Yeah, I'm in. I'll take 30 plus. I don't think
220 on FanDuel.
Yeah, all right. I think that's worth it. I was hoping for a little bit bigger of a number there with a straight line at 23.5, but still plus 220 with a little sprinkle, especially if he also hits the 23.5. I think I like that a lot. I think I'm going to go with that.
Well, let me check too, because
definitely a solid lottery ticket leg for sure. I think
if you just wanted to use that
and then plus, yeah.
Let's see if we get Tyler Hero alt on DraftKings.
Plus
30, 175. Yeah. So
I would stay away plus 175. 220, I think is as low as I would be willing to go.
That's fine. And look, I mean, that's pretty significant on something where he's lined at 23.5. I was trying to see if there was anything on the other side of that, but probably not. I might want to fade. Well, just looking at Atlanta in general, but like Okongwu, I get under 7.5 boards there from OddsShopper at plus 105.
Okay.
Because I'm with you where I think, it's correlating from what you said into a Miami win, probably something easier to where Atlanta's going to struggle in those spots. And you're just going to find if it's Hero scoring or even as we saw Bam back now since Monday. So that makes things a little more difficult, but I could slide into that. I could be talked into that.
Does I know the OddsShopper tool likes unders a lot of times. Does it have anything on a Sadiq Bey under by any chance?
You want to ride Sadiq Bey under threes? That is a tough life, man, to live.
What about points?
No. Let's find it. Let's find it. And again, you can jump in. We'll talk about the tool throughout and reference it, but we always have your ability to sign up and be a part of it too. But
I'm seeing a line of 12.5 for him. At home, he's averaging over 16, but on the road, he's averaging 12.27. Miami's, pretty solid defensively. I don't know that Sadiq Bey under on points jumped out at me. I was hoping we get 13.5 for him, but it is 12.5, which is a little scary. But I don't know. What are you seeing?
So on the tool itself, the bet that we have is actually over 12.5. It's marginal. But it's just because the market has realized there's probably a much stronger chance that he stays under. So there's a little wiggle room, but again, it's not by much. I don't think you're losing out if you stay under here either. Like this isn't the worst bet ever to go under 12.5 points. It's actually, wait a second. The better bet is actually under 13.5 at minus 110 on FanDuel.
Okay.
If that's still
the 13
available.
and a half was going to be interesting to me. I was seeing 12 and a half, but
No, he's still there. I still have him FanDuel under 13 and
under
a half.
13 and a half. I think I like that. Let me see. Let me check one
Look at
thing
that.
here.
Hero 30 plus, Bay under 13 and a half. That's plus 436 together.
I like it. I
Come
think I like
on.
it. Yeah.
That was easy. That was just
So
cakewalk.
Sadiq Bey hasn't scored more than 13 points on the road since December 8th. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4 straight road games. Highest scoring game was 12 against the Raptors. I don't know. I think Miami's just a tougher place to play, I think, than Toronto too. You could definitely talk me into plus 400 is what you said for that same game.
No,
like
for 36.
Yeah.
Don't sell me short. Don't sell me short.
I think I like that.
Okay.
Tyler Hero 30 plus, Sadiq Bey under 13 and a half on FanDuel.
Should we just keep building and just adding to this monster here, or are you
That's
fine?
definitely what Jerry would do.
I don't want to get too greedy and have this thing sit at 900 or something along those lines. I don't think we need a 9-1 just off the bat. But look, I think there's always going to be something there. We're on FanDuel too, so keep that in mind if you're looking somewhere else, and we could always make sure that it matches up. What's the second one you had? The second big one you were looking at?
I like De'Aaron Fox as well. Another guy with a huge kind of home road split. De'Aaron Fox at home. De'Aaron Fox on the road, 27 points. At home, it jumps to 32.5, basically. A line at 29.5 against a Phoenix team who it's like. So I bet mostly on props, right? So I tend to, except for the Pacers, I tend to not be as plugged into like the standings and all of that and who's winning games. I didn't realize how kind of bad the Phoenix Suns have been in
rough,
the
right?
win-loss. I mean, they're over 500, but I mean, you look at them up and down this roster, they haven't had I think they've had all three of their big three, like 2 or 3 games. But a Phoenix team that it's struggling a little bit. De'Aaron Fox also on the road is shooting 44% from the field. It jumps to 51%. So just a big difference in scoring the basketball for him, home versus road. Also, one of the best scorers in the league as the pick and roll ball handler, and that is a place where the Suns are struggling as well.
So will you go 30 and a half? You're going over?
Yeah, I mean that it's a big number. I've got the Suns allowing the 5th most points to the pick and roll ball handler. Just off of pick and roll plays alone, he's averaging almost like 10 points a game or something. So I think this pace is going to be high. I haven't locked it in yet. I was hoping it would be like 29 and a half, 30 and a half. It scares me a little bit, but it's just a point, it's just a point.
I know. I'm with you though. Where this game, look, they got torched by Boston, but they still scored what, $119. Phoenix is down Nurkic, so just defender, rebounder. You've got a little bit more of an open area to attack. They already down Beal, as you mentioned. I think this is great. In fact, I love the over in this. It's moved up a point. It's at 244, but it was at 243 earlier in the day when I wrote something up for Odd Shopper, and I just thought. Same thing with you with the pacing and how the one thing that carries over where even if Sacramento gets a little bit better defensively, tightens things up defensively where they don't get just shit canned like they did against Boston, Phoenix is going to allow them to get up and down. They'll probably score more to compensate for that. So both teams should be scoring a ton in this game. And Fox, I mean, look, a bad night, a rough night. Okay, you can't really account for that, but it's not like Phoenix has done something specific. And you just mentioned the pick and roll, how bad they've been against there. So it's not like they've even done something specific against Fox where he's had, like season lows or stuff like that. It makes sense. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a ton of break here. Fox at 31 points at over 244 is just plus 197.
So I've got 29 and a half on BetMGM at minus 110. I like 30 and 31 is just it's I know it's just a point. It's a big difference in my head for some reason from 30 to 31. So I think I like I think I'm willing to lay it looks like 29 and a half is minus 110 on MGM, plus 110 for 31 points. a 20-cent drop for 1 point in a basketball game. I don't know if I love, but I think I'm willing to eat that 20 cents and take 29.5 on MGM.
All right, so over 29.5 points and over, we said 240. Now, since we're building a parlay, we can go 243.5 here. That's plus 185.
Okay.
So, but to be honest, and I love it because my guess is that you've been on one of the other side of extreme on this, where you've been burned like multiple times on an over 30.5 prop where a guy's finished at 30, or like you've skated by to where you realize like there's just no way I should be messing with this fire. But it sounds like you're speaking from experience on that 30.5 number.
It's just it seems like everybody I bet on with a total over 30. It seems like they cruise to like 25, and then everything else is just such a grind. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like once you get above 25 points, it's like every single point is a sweat and 10 times harder than the first 25 were. But yeah, I got burned on John Morant 35. Ended with 34 his first game back. So that sucked. I tweeted out like gambling is so weird sometimes because like I was freaking out for every single point he scored in the fourth because I had him for 25, 30, and 35, and then I knew he was going to take the shot at the buzzer there. I'm like, oh, but I actually need him to miss this shot so we get overtime because I need 35, not 34, unless it's a 3, obviously. But yeah. I don't know. It's probably just a mental thing. I've got some issues in my head, but 30 and 31 in my head for whatever reason are so much further apart than a point.
No, man, I'm with you. I think for me, the example would be like college football when they instituted that triple overtime nonsense where it's like, okay, now you go to the 2-yard line and you're just exchanging 2-point conversions. But all of a sudden, like 2 in a small percentage, of course, that you even hit that overtime and then go to the next overtime and the next overtime. But 2 becomes like a key number. So in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, 1.5 is bullshit. 2 becomes way more of a key number in college than it does in the NFL, even though it probably isn't. But in my head, because I've been burned on like Penn State losing in, like quadruple overtime or some bullshit like that, where now I'll either stay away or treat it like it's a key number. So yeah, there's some mental placebo that just allows you to bet it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm with you.
I get it. Sixers tonight, man. You voting Embiid for MVP?
I don't have a vote.
Right now?
I don't have a
you
vote.
Don't?
I would definitely yeah, I mean, he's really good at basketball, man.
Except
really
in the second round of the playoffs.
What's that? Yeah.
Except in the second round.
True. That's true. I don't know. Tyrese Halliburton probably get my MVP vote right now.
Wait a second. Halliburton.
That was a joke.
Yeah. I forgot. Indy.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's got to be. I mean, obviously Jokic coming into the season was probably a short shot, even though he's won 2 years in a row. He's looked, hasn't looked quite like himself for the last couple of weeks. So I think right now, it would probably have to be Embiid, wouldn't it?
So SGA is sitting at 650, Luka at 7-1. I don't know what it's going to take for a guy like Giannis at 10-1 or Jason Tatum at 28-1 to really jump over these other dudes, right? Because you need like multiple guys to forget how to or get hurt, forget how to play ball.
And those guys
Embiid's
have
at
a lot more around him.
Yeah, see, I mean, like, I think Embiid's going to miss some time. I think Embiid's going to have a night like tonight. Tonight would be a game that I would target with Embiid and say, all right, give me some under action. This is one where you're at home. You're a pretty heavy favorite, 8.5 now against a team that we've already seen them. I mean, this must be the 5th or 6th time that they've played the Raptors and all this stuff about Nick Nurse and everything. But he's also got it in him where he'll drop 50, like have these nights. And then, like a 27, 28 night where the team can still win, but it's not centered, no pun intended, around him. And I mean, again, I saw 36.5. He's cleared that in 3 straight games, right? And if you look at that behind that, he's cleared it in 4 of 5. a lot. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
scoring at will right now. But again, I feel like this is one of those games at home where you've just dropped 51, 40 before that, where it's a little bit lighter of a load on Embiid, and you'll start to see some other guys take over. Again, it's just more of a feel than it is the fact that, oh, looking at what he's done in his game log. But this feels like one of those games where the Sixers win by 12 and Embiid drops 28 because everybody thinks he's going to continue to score 50 a night.
What's his line?
You
say 36 and a half?
Last I saw was 36 and a half. Now, again, that may have come down because that's a pretty tall number just on a nightly basis. I am at 35 and a half right now. Okay. Juiced a little to the over at minus 115 to minus 105. Again, like I'd be willing to take a shot tonight and stay under that 35 and a half. You know, Siakam was another guy who is going to be a heavy target that I would say, you know, go under there. I saw him at 22 and a half earlier in the day. He's dipped to 21 and a half now.
Embiid has only scored 37 or more points 4 times in a row once in his career.
Is that right?
It's 35 and a half now.
Yep.
See what this says. He's only done it 4 times. He's still only done it 4 times once from January 19th, 2022 to January 25th, 2022.
See, I think him winning the MVP isn't as much like he would still try and go out and drop 50 every single night if he lost the MVP last year.
Yeah.
But he'll have these moments, these stretches, and then like slow down. He's also shooting exceptionally well, right? Like how long is that going to last? 68% from the floor last game out. 53 is an anomaly. He shot 78 before that. You know, he's got a couple of nights where he's taking 20 plus shots and shooting over 70% from the floor.
Yeah. I don't think anybody in this Raptors team can really stop him if he wants to take that many shots. I think you do have a good point though of is tonight kind of just when he takes off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Feels it.
So hey Tyrese, you still need to grow a little bit. You shoot the ball 25 times a night, you know? I could see that being a thing. Yeah. But if he wants to go for 50, I don't think there's anybody on this Raptors team stopping him.
Not in the slightest by any means. You know, look, Embiid's also averaging nearly, I think, over four, right? At least 5 assists. So there's facilitation is there as well. Sixers a little banged up, but that would be one for me. All right, let's look at some NFL. We did have a question in the chat though. Fork Jacks, Devin Booker or KD to go double. Better one for you.
I kind of lean Booker actually, just because like his assists without Beal especially has just been a really fun bet. I'm looking at the numbers right now. He's plus 200 for a double on Caesars. What is Durant? Plus 220 for a double. I think I still lean Booker. I do think this is going to be a competitive game. We both kind of mentioned we like the over here. Yep. Devin Booker has the ball in his hands a lot. The one concern there for me would be like, you know, who's going to be guarding him? You know, is he in a position? Is he in a lot of situations where he's forced to pass the ball? I don't know. I don't really think the Kings are going to be able to. Domas in the middle is solid defensive presence, but I don't know if they're really going to be able to stop him from doing what he wants to do, scoring the basketball. So I just don't know if he's going to be in a position to pass the ball a whole lot. But I mean, yeah, plus 200, I think for Booker would be the preference for me there. Fork Jacks.
Yeah. Yep. No argument with you as well, even though you do have the better number technically, but you want this bet to hit. So who cares?
And real quick, if you just want to look at averages, Kevin Durant averaging 6 rebounds, 5 assists. So kind of nowhere close to a double. Devin Booker is averaging almost 6 rebounds and then, you know, a little over 8 assists. So just playing the averages there, it's I would think much more likely for it to be Booker than like that 20-point difference you're getting. Plus 220 for KD, plus 200 for Booker. I think there's a probability discrepancy there as well. I'll say.
All right, let's hit a couple of rapid fire NFL bets. Again, if you're hanging with us, reminder, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed here. Head on over to the Gold Boys channel. Same thing if you haven't there. We're going to be back Wednesday, 11 a.m. Every Wednesday. We'll have a little bit longer of a stretch. Look at the Odd Shopper board. Look at some NFL stuff ahead of time, the playoffs, everything that's ahead of us here. Speaking of which, the Colts are alive and kicking. So I'm sure and I don't do this with the Eagles, so I don't know how much you do either with the Colts. And I'm not the anti guy, like, oh shit, I hate this team, so I'm going to bet against them the whole time. But are you finding bets now? Like, are you just searching and finding just to justify watching the Colts? Because there's a lot right now on the table here. The only thing that I basically race to bet for the Eagles anymore is Hurts anytime TD. Because I know with the tush push, he's pretty much guaranteed.
So I love the Colts, man. Like I split season tickets with my neighbor. Like even in the year before Andrew Luck, I watched every single game. Like I'm gonna watch every game. If I don't have tickets to, I'm gonna be playing it on the couch. And like I think they're a bad football team without Anthony Richardson. And you look right now, they're tied with the Jaguars and Texans for the AFC South. The Jaguars, I think Lawrence is doubtful, and I think CJ Stroud is out. And the Colts are playing probably the worst team in football. There's a very real possibility that Monday morning we're going to wake up and the Colts are going to be alone in first place of the AFC South with Baker Mayfield, who I think is awful. So, I do almost always have a bet on a Colt prop. Michael Pittman Jr. has been getting a lot of targets in the red zone. He's kind of turning more and more into I think a true number one wide receiver. As a guy who I've been hard on the course of his career. He's really starting, I think, to figure it out and looks like a legit guy. He's plus 175 for a touchdown. Jonathan Taylor it looks like he is going to be back. So that I think hurts him a little bit touchdown wise, but plus 175 is still something I'm looking at. And I haven't done this all year, but it makes no sense to me why the Atlanta Falcons, who are really bad at football, are 2.5 point favorites over this Colts team, who, was won 8 football games. It hasn't looked great doing it. I'm very pessimistic on the Colts, but I do not feel like they should be I guess it's technically a pick 'em if you account for 3 points, home field advantage or whatever. But I do not think they should be a 2.5 point underdog against Desmond Ridder or whoever the hell is playing quarterback for the Falcons this week.
No, they bench Ridder. It's Heineke who.
Oh yeah. Heineke, that's a pretty big upgrade. That's pretty big.
No, but he hasn't won either. It's not like so.
The roster is bad. The roster is.
They have
bad,
to win a game and they have to cover that spread. And as we've seen, whenever Atlanta really wins, it's by like a point. It's a field goal that puts them ahead by a point or so. I hate the Falcons. Pardon me. I hate the Falcons this week across the board. So I think you definitely have something there. Just the fact that that line is off and it's been bet from 1 upwards to 2.5. Now 3 is the big one to keep an eye on, but
if it crosses 3, I'm hammering it.
Yep.
You want one other touchdown look? I'm probably gonna. I bet on it Sunday. Even without Trevor Lawrence, I might sneak a bet in on Calvin Ridley anytime touchdown. He's up to 8 red zone targets in the last 3 weeks. Without a touchdown. So that's kind of just the definition of due for me for an NFL receiver. It's got to happen sometime.
Ooh,
and
okay.
I bet on, like I said, I bet on it Sunday night and it didn't happen. So if he scores Sunday and I don't have money on it, I'm going to be really pissed. Whereas, if I bet on it and he doesn't score one, I'll be a little angry. But if I miss out on this, this is a big FOMO bet for me.
There's a guy on the PGA Tour, Eric Cole, who there's a guy on the PGA Tour, Eric Cole, that is rookie year. And I just was on him and ahead of him making like this major jump. And it was like every week I had to bet him because he'd finished top 20. And in the small minuscule percentage that he'd win, I'd be kicking myself, right? Oh, I got Cole. So yeah, I know what you're feeling. Let me throw this out here before we get out of here. Austin Eckler, Josh Allen, anytime TD, same game parlay. I see plus 456 in the FanDuel streets. You can mix and match and try and find a better number here. The reality, Buffalo, they give up 4.5 yards per rush. The Chargers are terrible against this is a game in which both teams should be able to establish the running game at the very least. Easton Stick and whatever else is going on with LA, I can't promise anything. But at the very least, Eli, I know that both Buffalo can run on LA and LA can certainly run on Buffalo. This big, bad Bills, they're giving up 4.5 yards per rush. So that's where I would look at a guy in Josh Allen who doesn't even need the tush push or the sneak to score. Give me that plus 456 on the way out.
I like that a lot. I think there are a lot of questions in Buffalo, and there are a lot of questions in that Chargers locker room. I don't think there are any questions about Josh Allen, and no questions really about Austin Eckler either, especially assuming they're both healthy. Those guys are both really good at football. So that's a big number for that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Week one, what would that have been? Week one, that would have been like what? Plus 200, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, below 3-1. Absolutely below 3-1. No, we're getting a good Austin Eckler's 185 because he's had a dog shit year, and I get it by all means. All right. Appreciate it. Tell the world where you are. I'll tell the world where I am, and we'll be back Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, youtube.com/@GoldBoys Network. We'll be live in 15 minutes over there. Jimbo producing this one for us. We're going to run it back with me and whenever Jerry shows up. DJ and Eli on Twitter, goldboys.com for the Discord. And that's pretty much it.
All right. At Shander Show for me on Twitter, oddshopper.com, this YouTube channel as well. We'll see you Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll have a little bit broader of a look, but make sure you take everything down because when stuff hits on the show, we're going to remind you. All right. 100%. For Eli, for James.
Not when it misses, though.
No, never, ever. We'll see you next week. Merry Christmas.